All right, we are live. This is Lynn with Midlife Carnivore. I am so excited to have Cristie with me today. Cristie is from the YouTube channel Meeting Wellness, and I am been so excited to have her on. First of all, she interviewed me a couple weeks ago
Yeah, on
on
our Lioness Lifestyle.
Lioness Lifestyle Live with her and the other two ladies, and I have had Ellie on. So yeah, I was super excited to have Cristie come on. And let me just quickly, before I let you take off and go crazy sharing your story, I want to show your website. So give me just a
Awesome.
second here. Okay. Alrighty. Can you see it?
Yes, it's up.
Okay, so this is Cristie's website, and I'll show it again at the end. But what I really think is so cool about Cristie, oh, and I got to meet Nicole, that was awesome.
We had so much fun. I mean,
Yes,
like strangers, but we act like old friends. It was
you
so
guys
much
were so
fun.
goofy. I loved it. But you have all these like recipes, and you share what you get at the grocery store. You've got some interviews. I love the mother-daughter, interview with Carnivore Grandma
We're
Robin.
doing a part 2 on that. Look
Oh, I
for it
love
on
it. I
Mother's
love
Day
it.
because that was great.
And you have challenges too. Like you started out your channel, like if you scroll to the bottom, I won't do that. If you scroll to the bottom, you've got you had a sprint challenge, a 30-day sprint challenge.
I
And
did.
yeah, so you've got you have a plank challenge going right now?
So we finished up the plank challenge. If you go up,
Okay.
you might see the live plank off. We did a live plank off competition. Oh, because it will be under the live tab. Yeah. So you'll
Okay.
see it there. There it is. We
There
did
we
it on.
go.
Yeah. I came in 3rd out of 4, but hey, I was over 2 minutes. My initial plank was like 40 seconds. So by the
You
end,
know what? That is awesome. Like literally, if I try to do a plank, my belly doesn't get off the ground.
yeah, it's planks are no joke. It was I did a push-up challenge and squats also in October. So we can get into my fitness challenges and why I do them and all of that.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Renee,
You,
did you have a website or do you
you
just have
said
your YouTube
website,
channel?
but you said website, Lynn, and I think you meant YouTube channel when you were
Oh,
showing
my mistake.
it.
My mistake. Yes. Okay. So, all right. So we've already got lots of people showing up. Oh, and Ellie's here. Hey there, Ellie. Awesome. We got Susan. We've got Renee. We got Mike. Awesome. So, okay. So one thing about you, Cristie, that I really was excited about is, first of all, with me, like I have so much weight to lose. And when I was watching your story, it's like your starting weight was like 30 pounds lower than my goal weight.
Right.
So but for you, it was you didn't feel good. You were unhealthy and you were caught in this just cycle of up and down and dieting and all of this stuff. And so it just it's just really important, I think, to show and to see that just because someone is a carnivore doesn't mean that they've been morbidly obese. It's not just for weight loss, even though you have experienced it, but it's for other things too. So I just wanted to share that I am excited that have somebody that is coming from a totally different perspective and to see how the carnivore diet has helped you. So I'm going to let you loose to share your story with us.
Awesome. I guess to know my full story, you have to go back to where my very disordered eating pattern started, which is when I was a teenager in high school, about 14 or 15 years old. And I started to put on a little more weight in the hip area. Turns out I'm a pear shape. And yeah, so as the little bit of weight crept on, I don't think it was unhealthy weight by any means, but it was very different than what I was used to because I had that stick skinny body, as a child. And then when I hit the teenager years and my curves sort of filled in, and I saw my thighs and my hips being so much larger than basically non-existent, which is what they were obviously when I had my little girl body. Yeah, I freaked out a little bit, and I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't want to look that way. Didn't feel good about myself, and I didn't know.
Do you feel like you had a little bit of body dysmorphia as a young girl, or were there some influences on you that kind of made you feel like you shouldn't have hips?
Yeah, so my grandmother, on my dad's side, I have a very similar body type to her. Very, very pear-shaped. Although as she got older, she was much heavier, but it was she had the very narrow shoulders and then really broad hips.
Right.
Being fairly overweight in her older years. And I have what she had, which is quite a lot of cellulite on the backs of my thighs. But that's when that started to form there is when I like lost it. Is when I got that, like, I didn't want to see that. And
How old were you? How old were you when that happened?
yeah, like 14, 15.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
to have cellulite like that as a
Yeah.
14-year-old,
And I'm talking from the bottom of my butt, like almost down to my knees. It's still there. It just kind of covers that area. And it's just hereditary. I feel like I got it from her. She had the same.
interesting.
And I have been, so I'm almost 5'6", 5'5.5", 5'6" on a good day, whatever you want to say.
Oh, so I thought from Nicole saying how tall you were, I was expecting you to be like 5'10" or something. Like I'm 5'8". She would be like standing in a hole next to me.
Yeah. No, Nicole is 5 feet short. She's
Oh,
yeah, as she even herself says.
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
I'm like 5'6", 5'5", 5'6". So basically, I never had that before, but I don't really know, I guess it's just hereditary. I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyways, through I'll fast forward a little bit, but I've been as thin. So being that height that I am, I've been as thin as like 111, 112 pounds through starvation. And that cellulite is still there.
Wow.
Like, it's just there. It's losing weight is not what's going to make that go away. Who knows if it's inflammation related? I don't know. Stay tuned because I'm going to stick to this diet. I don't notice any kind of overall improvement in that yet, but I will tell you that it doesn't bother me anymore. But we're sort of jumping to the end of the story. By the way, I haven't talked about the cellulite yet, so you guys are the first ones to hear this. So that's the part that really freaked me out, because like my mom is a different body shape than me. She's more like Apple, but she doesn't like have any cellulite, and I just didn't understand why I had to have that, on my legs. And I thought that if I just got thin enough, it would go away, I think. Being a teenager in the late 80s, early 90s, there wasn't the internet. You couldn't just go look this stuff up. You couldn't, and even if you did that today, you'd find 87, gimmicks, that don't work. And so, because that's just all out there. So who knows what I would have found, had I been a teenager in today's world. But at any rate, I didn't do any research, ask anybody, tell my mom that I was feeling this way. I just kept it all in and decided that I was going to diet, and that the way that I knew how to diet was eat less, move more. I had even heard my dad literally say those words, probably because his doctor said it to him, I'm guessing. Sure. And so in high school, I did play volleyball, all 4 years. So I had plenty of, exercise. And when I wasn't doing volleyball, I was doing cheer or dance or something. So for most of the year, I got exercise, although I didn't choose to do it if I wasn't doing one of my sports. Like during summer, I wasn't that person to go out and, do something. I would just not exercise. Right. Aw, thanks, Ellie. Sparkly. I felt like it was sparkly for
sparkly.
Anyway, so I got lots of movement in, but I just went about, starving myself. And then I learned all the things about how, the different macronutrients, although I don't think I knew the word macronutrients, but how supposedly, that the carbohydrates only have, 4 calories per gram, but the fat has 9, and, the protein and carbs have 4, but the fat has 9. So let's steer very clear of the fat, because that's what's going to make you fat. I remember my mom keeping, seed oils and margarines and things in the house, honestly, partially because of money. Like we were not, my dad was a pastor, so we didn't, and my mom's a teacher, so we didn't have money. So some of it was because of that, but also because she was a home economics major, and they in college, when that was a thing. And, you know, they took nutrition classes, and those nutrition classes taught her all of those things, you know, all those 1980s, 70s, 80s nutrition values, right? Because that's right at the time when she was in
Oh
college.
yeah. I didn't have real butter till I was an adult.
Oh yeah, I thought real butter was bad for you.
Yeah.
My grandparents had real butter, and I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah.
Like at this age, like we'd go to their house, you know, and I wouldn't touch it because I thought it was horrible for you. So it wasn't anything that I researched, but I just sort of gleaned what I gleaned, you know, from people around me. And so I started restricting calories and fat. And I just went into this cycle where I would starve myself until, you know, basically I couldn't do it anymore. Like my body was just begging for energy, for nutrients, for something.
Now, did you track calories? Like, do you remember like how many calories you were getting?
Yeah, in my head I did. So in my head all day, every day, I did a video about it. There was a constant calorie counter. I don't know when it started because it couldn't have been day one that started, but at some point that started. And all day long, and I do mean all day long. Like if I was awake, I was probably thinking about it. It was like back here in the corner somewhere, just like calculating the calories I had eaten so far, recalculating them, thinking about what I was about to eat at the next meal, calculating that out, thinking about, well, if I ate one of whatever, like one banana, then that was this many calories. And so today I'm going to eat 3/4 of a banana, and then that will only be this many calories. And then my total is going to be less today. Yeah, that was going on in my head. It was like Looney Tunes, right?
But those obsession. About how many calories a day were you getting?
So anywhere, there were days when I would eat 500 calories. There were days when I'd eat 1,000. So somewhere between there. But if I ate 1,000, I would feel super guilty about it. That was way too many. Way too many.
Yeah.
Way too many. Yeah. So, but yeah, it would hover back and forth until my body was just obviously starving. I had no energy. I couldn't do the things I, needed to do. And then I would go on a binge, and it wasn't healthy. It wasn't steak, it was ice cream or Oreos or whatever. And I don't mean a binge. I don't mean one sitting. I mean, until I put on 20 pounds. Right. Yeah. And then I'd go, oh no, because I'd see that nasty number on the scale that I didn't want to see, which it was about 140. If I ever hit 140, yeah, it was all over. Like I could not see that number. The only time I've ever seen that is when I was, pregnant. So I would never let myself see that number.
So you must be very small framed.
I have a super small frame. You might not be able to tell. Like my wrists are like very tiny.
Yeah.
Very tiny.
Look at my wrists.
Yeah, right. So so you might have heard, so my husband's a massage therapist, and even he tells me, because he'll give me massages, and he's like, there's nothing there. Like you're so narrow from the waist up. He says, you're just like so narrow. So I know that I have a very small frame, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so I just did that. And then as I got older, I learned a little bit more. Like I heard about Atkins, or I heard about whatever. I never researched it properly. I never read the book. In fact, I don't even didn't know that there was a book, I just heard people talking about it because
Me too. I never read it either.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just listened to people and didn't whatever. I just never even thought, because I didn't I thought I knew or something. It didn't occur to me. Like maybe you could learn more about this. Like that never occurred to me ever,
Right. Well, your obsession was on the calories. It's like,
yes. Yes.
Because you obviously thought that you had the right answer.
Yes. And there were times where I would add exercise to it. So I don't want to diagnose myself with an eating disorder, but I might have had one, because there were times when I was restricting that I would also go and jog jog a couple. Well, I couldn't jog that far because I never did it regularly enough to get that, but I would jog as much as I could, and I would go for, 3-4 miles.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. When I would feel panicked about the scale, I would add that in, but never never real consistently after I left high school. Yeah. So, I tried adding in low carb. I went low carb. I don't know, but in my early 20s, probably for the first time, but not the right way, not knowing anything about seed oils, not even knowing how many carbs is low carb. Legit, just don't eat carbs. Just eat meat and cheese and, bacon and whatever. But like, I didn't know to like have a number because shoot, I'm the number girl, right? Like I definitely would have been probably obsessed with that number had I known what
Right,
it
right,
you know, I lost weight doing that too, because I just, even doing that, you know, I restricted calories still.
right.
And so I just did that all the way up until February of this year when
Wow.
I,
So you did that for a long time.
yeah, like 30, I'm 48 now. So over 30 years I did that.
Okay. So what sort of results did you see from doing that?
So I gained and lost the same 20 pounds. I don't know how many times. So if you're talking about weight results, I don't know how many times. I really don't. It
Wow.
has to be more than 10 times because
Wow.
I don't
Well,
know how many times. And
yeah,
then
that's crazy.
unbeknownst to me, my mental health, and I say unbeknownst to me because I didn't know that it was so deteriorated until I went on Carnivore and everything sort of cleared up. And I just look back now and go, holy cow, my mental health was in
Oh, wow.
it was a wreck.
Wow.
But my mental health, I feel, just kind of did this over those, you know, 30 years. If you had asked me in January if I had anxiety, I would have told you no.
Hmm.
You know, or if you would have said brain fog to me, I would have told you no.
So was it just that it was just so part of your normal day-to-day how you felt that it didn't even dawn on you that it wasn't normal?
Yeah. So, and yes, and I didn't wake up one day. Like I wasn't like all young and energetic. And then one day I woke up and felt like an old lady. Like it was gradual over that 30 some odd year period until it was pretty bad, but I just didn't realize it because it was, you know, like the frog in the pot. They say you slowly turn up the heat and it
Right.
doesn't mean it's getting boiled to death. Yeah. Like that.
Right. Wow. Well, I mean, going up and down 20 pounds over and over and over again, I mean, that's got to mess with your hormones,
Oh yeah. I'm
all
sure.
your whole body hormones.
Yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure that it did.
Did you ever
I
have issues with your cycle?
No, I never
No.
did. I was always very regular. I never had any trouble getting pregnant when it was time for that. Yeah, yeah, Renee. Yes, you tripled me, girl. I don't know if that's a good thing, but yeah, you did. Renee wins.
Okay, I got you beat. That's right.
um,
Yeah, I know a lot of us have lost dozens and dozens of pounds up and down. It's just not good for you. It's very
yeah.
unhealthy.
Well, that and the way I was doing it, like just starving myself to death, like, yeah. And I was so obsessed and I would literally sit there just trying not to get off the couch, you know, and get whatever the thing was that I was craving. I had such bad cravings
Mm,
all the time. And it was the
yeah.
worst in the evenings. And I would just sit there like, don't do it, you know, and it was miserable. I was miserable for hours every evening. You
So,
know,
so even when you were doing low carb all that time, you were still struggling with pretty intense cravings.
yes. Yes, for junk food. Yes, because I was not doing it correctly.
Okay.
I'm sure that I was eating, you know, I didn't track it. So, but I'm very sure that I was eating processed food. There was a time when I bought like the shakes, stuff like that, you know,
Yeah, those
when I
shakes
was,
are terrible.
yeah, right. So I just didn't know any better. It was probably a step up from what I was doing because at least there was more meat in there and stuff, but it wasn't healthy and my cravings were definitely still bad.
Now, did
You
you
know,
end up getting like the Atkins products, like bars and
yeah,
different things?
not the bars, because mostly though, because my son has a severe peanut allergy and a
Mm,
lot of those have peanuts or been made around peanuts. So I
mm,
generally steer clear of that, but I did buy the shakes. Yes.
okay. Yeah, pretty bad,
Hmm.
you know. So interesting. So how did you end up finally, you said February, you were doing this up until this past February. What happened? Like, why, how did you end up fixing things?
So yeah, and it's crazy. And fixing things is the only way to describe it. So in February, you know, I saw that scale. It was like 138, and you know my magic number,
Right
140.
there.
I'm not gonna see that 140. It ain't gonna happen. So I thought, well, keto. I've never done keto, and I didn't know what keto was in true form. I had not done any research, but hey, we're in 2023 and I am on the internet and I can look things up. And the reason that this time was successful has to do with in 2020 when they sent all the teachers home, because you all know why. We had to teach online, and the school districts gave the teachers no support, no real materials to teach online, no good equipment to teach online, no strategies for teaching online. They didn't tell us anything. They sent us home and said, teach online, figure it out.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. And teachers are a very resilient group, I think. And so we said, okay, we're going to figure it out like we always do. And so one of the things was that a lot of us made and joined, Facebook groups, which I was on Facebook, but I had never joined I didn't know about Facebook groups. I'm not that into social media. My generation that wasn't really our thing, but I saw these Facebook groups and I joined like 3 of them because teachers were creating materials and, putting it online for free for people to take and use, just to like help other teachers out. And so I joined like 3 of these groups. And so that taught me about Facebook groups and how they work and that they can help you. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go keto. I don't really know what that means. I know it's a lot of fat. Lynn, I think you're frozen. Can you still hear me? Oh, and she's out. Hi, everybody. I'm your host for the show. Not really. I can't control anything. And I'll just talk to you guys. Put some stuff in the chat. Let's see. Lynn might come back. Conspiracy. Yes, Mike. Conspiracy. I'm waiting. Vlogmas. Sorry, Mike. I'm winging it here. I'll think about it. He's asking for ideas. Say what you want for Christmas. Yes, Mike. Tell us. What do you hope Santa brings you? You know what I have what I want Santa to do for me? I have a bunch of junk on the side of my house that needs to go to the dump. And I think Santa should get Rudolph and the gang to take that away from me. That's what I want. Just do the opposite, Santa. Take that stuff out of here. Anyway, I'm looking in the chat to see if there's any questions. I can't put anything on the screen. I'm not in charge around here. Nobody's even saying anything. Here she comes.
I had to get on my phone.
Yeah, you froze and I kept talking and then you vanished and I was like, hey, everyone in the chat.
Thank you. I was like, it's all rainy and stormy here and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So I am now on my phone instead of my Mac.
Okay. So well, we can see you. It's all good. You do have Mike's comment up there. It says, my theory was that gravity has gone up since I was young. Turns out it was my mass this whole time. Yes, Mike. Because more mass equals more gravity, my friend.
Hate to have that knowledge come, but better late than never, right?
Okay.
Catch me up on what did I miss?
Okay. So what was I talking about? Because I just started talking to people in the chat. I told everybody what I want for Christmas is for Santa to come and take my junk that's on the side of my house to the dump, like reverse. Don't bring me anything. Just there's stuff over there. It needs to go to the dump. Just tell Rudolph to get rid of it.
You were telling us about how you had to kind of learn how to teach online, and
yeah.
You hadn't been researching, so you were saying that this was how you learned about the right way to eat.
Yes. So I joined Facebook groups. I think I had said that. So I joined Facebook groups, and then when I decided to go keto, it wasn't like a well-researched decision. It wasn't like keto is going to be good for me. It was, I've heard people have lost weight on keto.
Keep talking. I'm going to get back on my computer's back online. So keep talking.
Yeah. I need to lose 20 pounds. And so I'm just going to, do keto. But about a week into that decision, after I started eating all the, salami and cream cheese and keto things, there we go. You muted me. It didn't take very long for me to see somebody in a comment. I don't know who it was. I wish I would have screenshotted it, but they were saying Dr. Berry. Can you hear that echo?
It's me. It's my phone. Hang on. I'm just going to turn my phone off.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm gonna just end up throwing my phone away.
Okay, good?
I think.
Yay, okay. So, yes, Mike, I missed the chat. This is why I don't like to be on live. I want to be in the chat with you guys having fun. Okay, just kidding. I'm having fun here too. Yeah, they're chatting amongst themselves during the technical difficulty. They've got this. They know what to do.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. See, carnivores are just so chill.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm not sweating. It's all good. I'm
good.
So I joined some keto Facebook groups and somebody said Dr. Barry in the chat. And I was like, who now? What? I didn't know. I didn't know there were people on YouTube. I didn't even watch YouTube. I really didn't even watch YouTube. Like I had used it for educational videos, like occasionally in my classroom, you'd find something that's on YouTube and that was about it. So I went over and started watching, and it didn't take long, as many of you can attest. It didn't take long after the first video or two to just engross myself in it, right? And just learn, okay, so keto, meat heavy, like meat, you're leaning on meat and fat, and then you might have a few vegetables. That's where I learned about the 20 carbs, but I had known what net carbs were, and I had thought that was the way to go. So I learned about total carbs. And so I decided that I was going to follow that method of keto. I pretty much figured that was the correct way that I should be doing it. I had not yet heard any of the other terms. I had not heard ketovore. I had not heard carnivore. I had just heard, keto. I was focused on that. And so I did download an app because I didn't really know, even though I had read labels my whole life and all of that, I had never I'd tracked calories, but I had never tracked carbs. And so for the first few months, I did track on an app just so I would not hit, that over 20 total carbs. And I did that, and the 20 pounds came off between February and about June. I lost the 20 pounds, and it went well. But I was tracking, I was, doing all of that stuff. I still had some cravings. And I still found that there were foods that I could easily overeat, like cream cheese, pecans, and things like that.
That's what I found when I was on keto too, because I did keto for 10 years, 2 years.
Okay.
And yeah, I had the same problem. The cravings never really went away.
Yeah. For sure, it was still those evening cravings, it was at that time of night. And if I just tried to have a few pecans, for example, the next thing I know, I would be going in for another handful and another handful until all the pecans were gone. Right. And so I didn't like that. But I didn't really know how to fix it. And I hadn't been, like I said, I just was sort of listening still to Nisha and Dr. Barry and those guys. And pretty soon I heard Nisha say something about, ketovore. But I never made an intentional decision to do that or to go carnivore. I just found that gradually, whatever, I don't know if it was laziness, I don't know if I just like ribeye or whatever it is, I just stopped cooking the broccoli with my meal, or I didn't make the zucchini with my meal, or I didn't, cauliflower. I didn't do that anymore. I just didn't do it. I just kind of had the meat and left it at that. And, I had been known to do that before. If I was making ribeyes even before all of this, sometimes I would just make the steaks, and then, my husband would be like, well, isn't there going to be potatoes or something with this? I'm like, no, just so, even before any of this, I've always loved ribeye, and I've always eaten all of that and
drawn to the ribeye anyways. Okay. Yes.
So then when that started to happen, and I heard Nisha say the word ketovore and talk about how many carbs, about 10 carbs or whatever, I was like, I think I'm not even keto. I think I'm like ketovore. And then that's when I started seeing some stuff about, carnivore. And I'm like, what is this? But, and then I would start watching that. 'Cause I'm like, I think I'm trending in that direction. And the reason I kept going with that is because that's when all the other benefits started to happen. Now, I'm going to stop here and say keto can be great for some people, right, Dustin? I see Dustin in the chat. Dustin is doing fantastic on keto. More power to those people.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of people who do well on keto and don't need to go any further than that.
Yeah. So I'll talk about my volleyball in a minute, Mike Shaw. My mom is 71 years old. She's doing keto. Maybe she's a little more ketovore now. I don't think she will ever get rid of her vegetables, but like her arthritis in her hands has gone away at the age of 71. She used to not be able to make a fist. She can do that now. Wow. There's less swelling in her joints and they don't ache anymore. So, I mean, who knows?
What's the difference between keto and ketovore?
So from my understanding, keto is you keep your total carbs under 20 and ketovore is like, according to Nisha, and there's probably different definitions. It's more like 10 total.
Okay.
Carbs. You know, and even a lot of people that are ketovore will have like some carnivore days, like days where they're just carnivore, but then if they want vegetables, they'll eat some vegetables on a day. Okay. And I'm not against that. The other day when I met Nicole, I got a California burger. It had some avocado and pickle, and I ate some avocado and pickle. I'm not, that's the first I've done that since June, but I don't,
How did that sit? How'd that sit on your stomach?
Fine. Like I've never had any like sensitivities to anything.
Okay.
But I've just craved Doritos and Oreos and ice cream. And
absolutely.
So I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty carb addicted. But I was wondering, I wonder how my stomach will feel because I have an hour and a half drive home after this. And it was fine.
Oh, sure.
It was no problems. And I did not want that. I had no cravings after doing that. So, that may be something I incorporate, more often. I don't know. But when I can tell you when I do pecans, it's bad. So I think everybody has to kind of find their own spot, right? Like I said, my mom is doing keto. She just picked up a jump rope at 71 years old. She sent me a picture. She's like, look, I have a jump rope. I'm going to do it. I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So she's doing amazing. I think that I personally, and you're a nurse, Lynn. I am not a nurse. I know I'm a teacher, right? I'm not any kind of expert, but I think that I damaged my metabolism and my hormones and all of that so severely with all of my yo-yoing for all of those years that I think I do have to be more strict to keep that stuff under control. But when the carbs have slid off my plate, not on purpose by any stretch, they just did. And then I was like, I think I had anxiety and now I don't. And the reason I know this is I didn't want to go anywhere or do anything. And I even mean the grocery store. Like I would think people are looking at me and what are they thinking? Like they probably think I look weird. They probably think I look ugly. They probably think I look fat. Whatever. I never would leave the house without makeup. Like I'm not having a stitch of makeup on right now and I'm all up in your, like, I don't care. Like, but I would have been so self-conscious about that. Like people are going to think I'm whatever because I'm not wearing makeup. And those thoughts would be in my head all the time. But in June, after I had been carnivore for a little bit, my son got invited to a local amusement park here called Knott's Berry Farm, if anyone's heard of that.
Oh yeah.
So he got invited there by a girl, you guys. He's in high school, but I don't know this girl. And I was like, you can go, but only if I go. Like I don't know her family. It was like her parents, and then they wanted to invite him. I'm like, I'm not putting you in a car an hour that way with strangers. I'm sorry. Not going to happen. But I would not have wanted to go to an amusement park. I would not have wanted to go hang out with strangers. And here I am agreeing to this and not feeling nervous, like actually looking forward to being at Knott's Berry Farm. Like, who even am I right now?
Wow. That's quite a change.
Yeah. And so then I started to do things like, in September, I started sprinting. And that was because I had so much energy that I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with all of this energy? And that's about the time I started my channel. So I started my channel the very end of August, like the 28th or 29th of August.
Okay.
And September 1st, I was sprinting. And that was one of the
started with your sprinting. And so your sprinting was, I mean, I watched some of those videos and it's great. So what sort of benefits? Well, first of all, I guess what made you decide to do the sprinting, do a sprinting challenge for yourself?
Yeah. So
what sort of results did you see from it?
Oh my gosh, sprinting is amazing. Let me start by saying sprinting can look like whatever sprinting looks like for you. My sprint is for sure jogging for some people, like for athletes. I'm 48 years old. I know I've gotten faster though. I can tell I've gotten faster than I was. But sprinting means that you're pushing yourself at your maximum. Like whatever that is for you, it is your maximum. The reason that I got into it was two reasons. First, I had all this energy and like I needed to do something else. Like I've heard other carnivores say this, like I can go exercise now, or I can go, whereas before it was, I would go to work and I would sit on the couch and I was closed. Like, don't talk to me, I'm closed. I'm sitting here and this is what I'm hibernating here until bed. And then I'm going to get up and do it again. Now I'm like, I got to do something. And of course I had been still continuing after, Dr. Barry and Dr. Chafee, and then getting into some other, YouTubers. I found a Dr. Sean O'Mara. And so he talks about visceral fat. Yes, Renee, if that's as fast as you can go, Renee, that's it, girl. Yeah. He talks about visceral fat and how that is such a huge health marker. And then he talks about sprinting as a way to reduce visceral fat, but also, believe it or not, put on muscle. And I thought, well, I can do that because I'm the kind of person I'm not going to go in the gym for like an hour. It ain't happening. Like it's boring. Like I can't do it. I need something where I can change it up. If I can't change it up, then it's just not my personality. And so he's talking about sprinting. And so what I started doing was going out on my street in front of the world and running down the street at my top speed in front of my neighbors, whoever's walking their dog. Like,
my neighbors would probably feel like they needed to call an ambulance.
People in their cars. And I would be like, hey, morning, I'm sprinting, no one else is sprinting. Did I feel anxious, nervous, or anything else? Nope. Sure didn't.
Awesome.
So anyway, like I said, with the anxiety, right? I even stopped into this one guy walked his dog, like during the summer, it was actually light outside it was the end of summer. It was September, but very tail end of summer. And it was still light at like 6 a.m. when I'd go out and do it. And he'd be walking his dog and I'd be resting. So I rest in between and, we would chat and then, but like, I wouldn't just feel like I needed to stay there. I'd be like, well, need to go again. And then I would just, take off and he'd go.
So how did you structure your sprinting? Like,
so
a specific distance or a time, or how did that work?
So I go by time, and also I live on a cul-de-sac, which is kind of a perfect distance for me. But what Dr. O'Mara said was don't do the same time or distance every single time. You want to confuse your body a little bit. So I do about 8 sets, anywhere between 6 to 8 sets, and then anywhere between 10 to 20 seconds. So I just have my Fitbit on. I don't hit the timer first. I take off slowly, because if you take off sprinting, you're going to pull something unless you're, 18, like my son. So I start off slowly and work my way up to my top speed. When I've reached it, that's when I start the time. And then I go anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds. And then I kind of let my heart rate come back down after the first one. Now I can pretty much go again almost right away. Whereas before I was having to take a long break, like in between, so it's helped. My muscle tone has increased a lot. And I know that because I can see it in my arms and shoulders. My husband, even where I don't see it in my legs, because like I said, I'm pear-shaped. I have that little layer of fat on my thighs. But my husband, like I said, he's a massage therapist. I know, it's amazing. But he didn't. So he had given me a massage like prior to the sprinting and then after the month of sprinting. And he was like, what just happened? Like there's all kind of muscle in your legs.
Noticed. Yeah. All of a sudden you got muscle.
Yes. And it wasn't there before. It was like, he did not say this. I'm saying this. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I am saying this, but it was squish. Like it was just squish before. And then now it's like muscular in there.
Yeah.
So, and then I don't have like a real in-body scale, but it's like one of those scales that measures, like I think you have, Lynn, that
the
measures
body composition scale. Mm-hmm.
Yes, body composition scale. Thank you. And I did a video. It's been a while now. It was at the end of September or beginning of October when I did that video with all of my a month of sprinting and post. I put on muscle. I lost fat. Just from doing that. And actually I had taken out all my other, like I had been doing some little bit of weights and some other, like some yoga and Pilates and things, but I did that for a while and I'd done that on and off for a while and I never really saw results in my body. So I just stopped doing that. And I just did the sprinting, and just in that month I put on like so much muscle. Yeah, it's crazy. And
one of these days I want to sprint. way too much. It would be I'd injure myself now, but one of
Not
these
now.
days I want to
Yes.
try it.
Yes, give it a try. I wish I could remember her name. We're gonna have her on Lioness, but it's Last Day of Normal. Last Day of Normal. I'll shout out her channel right now. She's 50 years old. She still has weight to lose and she is out there sprinting. And she did her channel. She's a carnivore. She did her channel because she was looking for sprinting inspiration and she didn't see any. So she's like, well, then I'm going to be it. I'm going to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Check her out.
Lynn, because she's, like I said, she still has weight to lose and she's out there sprinting.
Yeah.
It's
I've got probably another 100 pounds
mm-hmm.
to go. So maybe if I down another 50, I might try it and see. Or, maybe brisk or walk a little faster. I still have to try to get to the point where I can walk without tweaking my knee.
Yes.
I mean, I'm 55, so I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm also in a lot worse shape. So there's people my age and older who are a lot in better shape than I am.
So I will say that I had some inflammation, which had been building up. So it's not like a lot of symptoms, but like my right knee would swell. I could not do squats. I could not do squats without my right knee hurting and then being swollen the next day. So I could do everyday stuff, which, as you heard me say, was very minimal. So like I could walk to my car, drive to work, teach kids, come home and sit on the couch with my knee not feeling it. But if I walked upstairs, did squats, it was my right knee. And I sprinted, no trouble with my knee. I did a squat challenge in October where I was doing 100 squats every day. And by the end of October, I could do 100 at once. No trouble with that knee.
Wow. That's great. Well, someday for me, it's getting better.
Yes.
I wanted to talk to you. I wanted you to share the story. I know we're got like 20 minutes until the top of the hour. I don't know how busy you are, but I wanted you to share the story. About a month ago, you posted a video about your experience with getting labs done.
Okay.
For the first time since you were pregnant, which was a long, long time ago.
Yeah. My youngest son is 15.
I wanted you to share your experience with that.
So I went to my doctor and I had signed into my account. I'm not trying to be rude. I had signed into my account and it booted me out of my account here. So I'll log back in a second. But I don't know why. I didn't have a baseline to compare it to. I don't know what possessed me because I feel great. Like I've said, and there's many other benefits that I have not even touched on that I've, experienced. I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. I don't count anything now, by the way. I don't worry about my weight. I eat till I'm full. I have no idea how many calories I'm eating. It's a lot. And how much fat I'm eating, that's a lot too. And I don't worry about it at all. So I eat
that alone is incredible.
So I forgot to say that, which is kind of important to the whole title of what you entitled this live stream. So I don't give it a thought other than picanha sounds good. Let me cook that, or ribeye sounds good, or takai, or whatever I want. I eat it. When I'm full, I stop. That's it. And I don't worry about it. And then I don't think about my jeans fitting me or not, or where I'm going to put on weight or inches or any of that anymore. But anyway, so I don't know what possessed me to go to my doctor. Some sense of I should probably check my blood work was, and maybe I'll do that. Yeah. I also tend to pass out almost every time I get blood drawn, I pass out, like legit done. Like they had to give me smelling salts.
Wow.
And every single time I'm like, I need to lay down when you do this. No, really, I'm serious. I need to lay down when you do this. They're like,
I don't start laying down, I'm going to end up laying down. So.
Yeah. And half of them don't believe me. And so that's when they had to give me the smelling salts because they wouldn't let me lay down. And then I passed out right in the chair. And then the next thing I know, that was a weird experience. I came out fighting. Is that normal, Nurse Lynn? Because when they gave me those smelling salts, I woke up and I wanted to punch somebody in the face. Yeah. And I'm not a violent person. But anyway, I go down. So that's part of the reason I don't usually get regular blood work. But I thought, you know what? Yeah. Maybe Carnivore has helped me with that. Who knows? And I'm just going to go in and give it a try. Also, because of the sprinting, my veins, I have a visible pulse now, which Dr. Omara talks about. And my veins in my arms, like you could see it, like they'd be able to find them. Whereas in the past, they could never find a vein, which only made it worse. They're digging around in my arm for a vein like 3 times. They can't find it. They switch arms and there I am just passing out. Like it's,
Wow.
But anyway, I thought, well, my veins are bigger. Maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe I won't feel like passing out. Thank you, Karen. Karen's like, she's going to go with me next time. So I just went and did it, right? So I did ask my doctor for a couple things. I caught Dr. Tony Hampton on a small, he was on a small channel, and I'm like, I'm going to ask this question because maybe he'll answer. It's a small live stream. And so I said, I have no previous blood work, like nothing to compare this to. Been carnivore, told him how old I was, how long I've been doing carnivore. And he said, yeah, just do a standard panel, but add like a fasting insulin and an A1C is what he told me. Or I think he might've just said fasting insulin. I think he assumed they would do my A1C.
Yeah, probably.
At any rate,
if you don't ask for an insulin level, they won't do it.
Yeah. And so, but when I went into my doctor, she was like, well, did you get the blood work done? And I was like, no, you guys didn't send me the paperwork. And she's like, oh, it was like a snafu. I didn't do it right, but it was fine because then we had the chance to talk. So I said, I would also like a fasting insulin. And did you put an A1C on there? And then she was like, no, why do you want your A1C? I only do that in my overweight patients. So
as if you can't be diabetic or pre-diabetic if you're not overweight.
Correct. So this is where it starts with this doctor. I was like, okay, but can you just do it? So she starts adding that to the order. So it turns out to be a good thing that I didn't just go get it because it wasn't on the order, to go. They wouldn't have checked those things. But anyway, we're talking about diet a little bit, and I kind of ended up telling her, because whatever, I'm like, hey, if she doesn't go along with it, I'm just going to fire her because I have all kind of confidence now. In the past, I would have been like, doctor, I can't say anything. Like, I can't go against what she says. And if she tells me to do something, I have to do it. And, all that kind of stuff.
That's a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I had for whatever reason, all the confidence to go in there, tell her what I was doing and let the chips fall. Right. And so I think I'm the first carnivore she's ever met. She pretty much told me my cholesterol was going to be sky high and that was going to be very bad. But the proof is in the pudding. She wasn't mean. She was negative about it, but she wasn't mean. She wasn't disrespectful. Basically, the proof is in the pudding. We will see when you get your blood work. And I said, yes, we will. And even if you feel like you have to put me on a statin, I guess we can agree to disagree. And we left the appointment at that. I did ask for hormones, and she didn't agree to that. She would not test my hormones. She said I would know if I needed them tested because I would have hot flashes. She knows I've had a partial hysterectomy. I'm like, but I don't have periods, so I would kind of like to know where my hormones are since I don't have that monthly, reminder anymore.
And a lot of times carnivores don't really experience menopause.
Right. But and that's what I'm hoping for. But so, yeah, I have no idea. She flat out refused. So she added the A1C, she added the fasting insulin. She flat out refused to do the hormones. I didn't fight her on it because I know that my OBGYN will do it because she already told me she would do it. Yeah. So next time I go see her, I'm just going to have her do it. I'm not having any symptoms. I'm just curious. Right.
Yeah.
So, so the first, I'm logging into my account. So the first thing I know is that she's calling me. So it was like, I kept checking because, you go to, it was through Quest, and I kept logging in, right? Because I've got this blood draw, by the way, I did not pass out. They did take it. I have this vein that now shows up. I have a vein right here that's like very prominent now. And I said, can you just do it there?
I can probably tap that from here. I can see it.
Yeah, right. And so she did it, and it was like, and I did a short about it. I'm like, look, and I didn't pass out. So that was amazing. But yeah, I didn't pass out. I felt fine. So who knows if that was carnivore or what that was. But yeah, my Apex Odyssey. I don't know about. I get those too, and I'm attributing them to my sprinting. But I don't know if you're sprinting. Lynn, do you have any wisdom in that?
Oh, as far as is it kind of like varicose veins?
No, I just mean I can see all of my veins more. Like I could never see my veins before, and I can see a lot of them now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know why that would be like. I mean, I know that that's a thing, but I don't know what the diet has to do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I attributed it to my sprinting because I know that it makes your veins more visible. And for sure, you can see my pulse in my neck now, which is a good thing, according to Dr. O'Mara.
Yeah. I mean, if your heart is beating more effectively, then I mean, theoretically, your veins should be a little fuller, and
Yeah.
I don't know, but I mean,
Okay. Well, so yeah, I'm not a doctor or health professional, so I don't know, like, why that would be, but I'm experiencing the same thing, Apex. Yeah, so I'm in my Quest app and I'm like, where's the results? And they're not there, not available. And I don't have anything to go, look at from before. These are my first ones. And I like, looking, not there. So I get this message on my phone. My doctor called me at like 8 a.m. Well, she knows I'm a teacher. Like, I'm with students. I'm not about to pick up my phone when my doctor's calling me. Even if I did pick it up, I mean, I will sometimes do that if it's like about an appointment to like confirm something, but I'm like, I know she's going to be telling me about blood work. I'm not going to talk about that in front of my students. I can't leave 10-year-olds to themselves.
Well, I don't know, because you haven't really had blood work very often, but
Yeah, and
I know that when the doctor calls you after you have blood work, it's never to tell you good news.
Right. She's not gonna, well, she had scheduled a follow-up. I said, so do we need a follow-up then? Like after I get, and she's like, no, we'll just talk about it. Like she had said like, no, don't worry about it all, whatever.
Right.
So anyway, I didn't even see her call, but like a little bit after that, I did see that there was a message. So when I had a minute, I listened to this message and she said something to the effect of, your cholesterol is the highest cholesterol I've ever seen. Your diet is not healthy for you. You need to either start on medicine right now or change your diet right now because, basically you're going to have a heart attack. And I hope you've had the chance to see these numbers because they're terrible. I might have gotten some of that out of order, but that was the general message. She did not report what the numbers were. In my opinion, for her as a doctor, she's like in her 50s. So for her to just tell me that that's the highest she's ever seen, it was very alarmist.
Well, that makes me curious. Like, how high was your cholesterol?
How high was it? Yeah. So my total cholesterol is 575, Lynn.
Okay.
So I am a lean mass hyperresponder. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you're a lean mass hyperresponder. So share what that is.
Okay.
To your knowledge.
Okay. Well, let me just go back real quick and say she did call me 3 more times after that. So she left 4 messages. And in that time span, by the 4th message, she did try to call in the evening. I was on a live stream. But she tried at 8 a.m. 3 times.
Okay.
Never got a hold of me because I'm teaching. The 4th time she tried in the evening, I was on a live stream. I did call her back. She has not called me since. So I guess she's fired me before I could fire her. I don't know. It was the same message every time. It was the same message every time. In California, it takes a good, I don't know the amount of time, 36 to 48 hours. There's a law here that your doctor gets your blood results before you do. Mm-hmm. And that after they've had that, whatever length of time is in that law, that you will then, that's when they will release your numbers to you. So that's how I now know. So I now have in my app here. And I had heard about lean mass hyperresponders. Didn't know I was one till I got these blood results. And so I've since watched some things about it. Again, I'm not an expert, but to the best of my knowledge, it is someone who doesn't have much weight to lose. So usually thinner people who go on a low carb, ketogenic way of eating. And what ends up happening is they get this triad effect with their lipid, with their cholesterol levels. Okay. What it is the LDL shoots way up, like way up. Right. My LDL, it just says greater than 350. I would have to do, yeah, right. She wanted to do a bypass, like right then. Yeah. Anyway, I want a CAC test. That's what I want, but I could never get her on the phone after that. She doesn't call me back now. So anyways, so then your HDL is also very high. So
maybe she saw your video.
Maybe she did. And yeah, I tried not to be super unflattering, but I was telling the truth at the same time. Yeah. I think she just doesn't know. My HDL is 84, which is quite high. And it's bright green on my labs, and my triglycerides are 72. So when I do my triglyceride to HDL ratio, that should be under 2, and mine is about a 0.85.
That's really great.
Right. So she didn't mention any of that, right? There was no positive spin at all. She looked at the overall number and said, I'm going to have a heart attack. If I keep eating this way, I need to stop it. I need to get on a statin, or if I, or change my diet. If I don't want to change my diet, I need to get on a statin, and that's it. So there was no, and then I get my numbers, and I have, the Dr. Berry education that I have. And so I start looking more into this. I'm doing the division. I'm figuring out my ratios. I'm like, okay, the only thing out of whack is my LDL, and that's a lean mass hyperresponder territory that I'm finding myself in. From what I understand, the reason for it is we don't have a lot of glycogen stores because we have not been overweight. And so it is a metabolic, it's part of that lipid energy model that the researchers have been looking into. And it is a metabolic thing that we do to get energy because we usually work out and do things like that. And our body has this energy demand, but we don't have a lot of glycogen laying around. And so it uses the LDL to like transport all this stuff in the blood. Now, experts that are more expert than I can look at these numbers and basically tell me that I'm going to have the LDL that they call, the large size particles, which are the ones that are good. I, for my own, because I am no kind of expert, I'm like, I'm going to go to Own Your Labs and I'm going to get a particle density test because I just want to know. So I did that. I paid the money. I went back. I got more blood drawn. I did not pass out. And that person refused to do this bigger vein and did it right here in the crook of the arm. No passing out.
No passing out. So the 2 times you've had blood work done as a carnivore, you did not pass out.
No, and I didn't feel lightheaded and I didn't feel sick.
Wow.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't know what that is, but it was
awesome. So Own Your Labs.
Yes.
Is the name of it.
Yes. ownyourlabs.com. Anyone can go in there. You can order whatever tests you want. They use LabCorp. And what will happen is you will go in, you will check off the tests you want. You will pay your money. If you agree to let them use, they're affiliated with the people, it's called the Citizen Science Foundation. Okay. I think they're affiliated with them. So if you want to do it, you can agree that they can use your results in their research, like anonymously, yes. And they'll give you a 10% off if you choose to do that, but that is up to you.
So how much did it cost you to get that test done?
Yeah, so for that test, because they have to redo so they do a whole cholesterol panel plus the density, particle density. It was like, I did do the 10% discount and it was either 58 or 68. I can't remember the exact amount now.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. And if you just do a straight up cholesterol panel, I think it's under $10. Like it's very reasonable. I think that lipid density test, they have to centrifuge it and like do stuff to it to like get, suss out the particles and their different sizes. Right. So according to my particle density test, I have the biggest, fluffiest LDLs you've ever seen in your life. There's like type A and type B, I think, and like type A is the good one. And that's what I am. And I mean, it's like all the big fluffy particles, which means they're just doing their job, taking the energy, the stuff, the fat around my body that my cells are requiring. And the small particles, they put everything on a graph for you. And it goes from like red to green. And no, I did not say Christian Scientist, Mike. I did not say that. Citizen Scientist is what I said. It's like Citizen Science Foundation. Exactly. Is that what it is? Scientist. Anyways, so on the graph where my small dense particles are, it's like a little arrow where you are, it is so far to the green that if it went any further, it would fall off the end of the graph. Like it couldn't be any lower. So, does that make me feel better? Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah.
Has all the research been done on lean mass hyperresponders? No. If you ask Dr. Hampton or any of that, they will tell you, we're not going to say that LDL is not a marker of, a risk marker. It is, but it is way less than, let's say, high A1C. My A1C was, I think, 4.8, and my fasting insulin was also, it tied 4.8. So those things were amazing. Almost all of my other blood work was in the green, other than this LDL. I'm pretty sure my doctor has never heard of a lean mass hyperresponder. I am waiting with bated breath because in 4 days, the citizen science, I'm gonna say it slowly. I know I get going and I talk fast. They're dropping some new research, Lynn, on December 8th. So Nick Norwitz is one of the senior researchers, and he has a fantastic channel.
He kind of froze up there for a second. Can you say his name again?
Yeah, Nick Norwitz.
Nick Norwitz. Yep.
Yeah. He has a fantastic channel, and he will explain all this to you because he's involved with all of the research. He's like one of the senior researchers on that project.
He's a PhD. And is he going to medical school?
Yes, he's a third-year medical resident. Smart. And he's doing all of this research, but he'll explain it. Like, it's sciencey enough to intrigue me, but like not so sciencey that I don't understand what he's saying, you know? So it's great.
Yeah. It makes me wonder what it would take for the general like lipid panel that just is done actually decides to break down those particles in when they do the test, because it seems like that would be really helpful for anybody who gets it done, and it would be helpful to the doctors to really have that education and see that it makes a difference.
Yeah.
You know, which particles, you know, do you have the big ones or do you have the little tiny dense ones? I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't done that already.
Yeah. So I will tell you that they have worked it out with the whole glycogen thing that I was talking about. They have proven that that is pretty much true. Just to prove the point, Nick Norwitz ate, I think, about 100 grams of carbohydrates. See, he's a lean mass hyperresponder. He ate 100 grams of carbohydrates from Oreos every day for 2 weeks, tested his cholesterol, and his LDL was normal. So it had been, I don't know what it was before. I'm sure that he, you know, it's because it's all, he did it as a scientific N=1 scientific experiment. Then he went on a statin for 2 weeks. And I don't know if that part has come out, but his goal was to prove that if you're a lean mass hyperresponder, if you give yourself a little glucose, you know, because the reason your body is doing that with the LDL is there's just not a lot of glycogen and glucose and whatever around. But if you give your body a little bit, your LDL is just going to go up. So we tend to have totally normal LDLs when in the presence of carbohydrates.
Yeah. So he gave his body that free, you know, floating glycogen. Whereas those of us who are not lean mass hyperresponders, our body can pull it out of its stores and utilize it.
Yes. People that lose enough weight, like you might not start as a lean, like I pretty much started because I was lean at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But people that lose enough weight can become lean mass hyperresponders if they get lean enough.
Interesting.
Yeah. He said that. I've heard him say that. So who is the main researcher? Because the name is escaping me. The main researcher in charge of citizen science and that whole project. Mike Shaw will know. Mike Shaw put it in the chat.
Come on, Mike. Share your knowledge.
Yes, Mike, I'm throwing down the facts.
But he's going to look at Christian Science.
It's not Christian Science. Citizen science, please.
Okay.
It's like I know his name, but I just can't. Twin Maples, I know. I know. Someday, if you get lean enough, you too.
It's like, hey, you too can have really high LDL cholesterol.
Yes. He said it's like rolling 100-sided dice. Because it's like the trifecta, right? It's the triglycerides, the low triglycerides, the high HDL, and the super skyrocketing high LDL. He said it's like rolling 100-sided dice and hitting a 6 like 3 times or whatever, like hitting the same number 3 times.
Oh, wow.
It's very rare, actually. We see it more now because the carnivore diet has become more popular. More people are doing it, and then it's coming out. Thank you, Dave Feldman. I knew that. It was here somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, Robin.
Hey, Robin. Robin's here.
Yeah.
So, okay. Wow. So that's really interesting. So your doctor basically, well, you know, and I mean, and I've worked out patient medicine before, you know, my last 7 years was working out patient medicine. And I know that when it comes to following up with patients, they have, if your clinic was like ours, it was like 1 phone call two or 3 phone calls.
Yeah.
Is it. And then they maybe a message through the patient portal. Right. And then that was it. And once you've tried that many times and the patient doesn't call back, then you quit.
Well, the last communication between she and I called and left a message, and I was a little bit passive aggressive. I did say that I said, I understand now that it is 6 p.m., so I would never expect you to pick up the phone because she kept calling me at 8 a.m. when she knows I'm a teacher.
Like, yeah.
And I said, but I would like to talk to you a little bit more about this. I was going to ask for maybe a particle density. I was going to ask for maybe a CAC. I was also going to ask her to please address the fact that my thyroid is a little low because she didn't say anything about that. Can we address that, please? And my vitamin D was a touch low, but Fred Vogel I've never heard of. Thank you, Twin Maples. Yeah. I'm going to check that out.
I'm going to write that one down too.
She did not mention my vitamin D, nor did she mention my thyroid at all. The cholesterol.
How's your vitamin D?
It was like 1 point below the normal range. So I started taking vitamin D supplements. I will check it again. I started taking iodine as a first measure, and I watched her video on iodine, Lynn, I know, but I did. I did. But I also
be like too sciencey. And
yeah, I did start putting a couple drops in my coffee because I am trying to at least do that first to see. I want to do like the least thing first and see if my thyroid will bounce back a little bit, you know. Right. I have actually, and I keep saying this, you guys, I know I haven't called. I've been procrastinating and I don't know why, other than I just don't put a lot of stock in doctors anymore. But there, so I used the website mentioned by Dr. Berry. There is a low carb doctor about 10 miles east of me that I need. And I know that she does take my insurance. I just have not called. I don't know if she's taking new patients. And then my friend that I teach with, who is keto, on a Facebook group that she's a member of for her city, which is about 20 miles south of my city. So she did this because she knows I'm not on this group since I don't live there. Somebody put out the question on that group, does anyone know of a carnivore doctor in this area? And like 3 people answered with the same guy. Like this guy,
wow.
this guy, he's just going to tell you to eat meat and dairy. And I'm like, okay, I need to call that guy, you know? So I have 2 options. Honestly, I have not called. But I'm about to change doctors. But I'm kind of waiting for this lean mass hyper responder stuff. I'm a little, you know, the LDL is can be a you know, we're going to see what they say. There's new research about to drop, but it can be a risk.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a relationship between your thyroid and your LDL.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see if the iodine helps to support your thyroid.
Yeah. So I've been doing that for about a month. Yes, Mike, December 8th. And then in February, they're supposed to be done with the second heart scan. So what they did, if you're interested, is they took 100 people. Ooh, yay, Renee. They took 100 people, 60 men, 40 women for this study. They're all lean mass hyperresponders, every last one of them. They did an initial CAC score on them, and he discovered something so surprising. Dave Feldman discovered something so surprising that he wanted to do an initial paper just on that, because he thought that there might be 4 things that could happen. 1, their CAC scores would be so high because of all the, you know, LDL that the study would be over. Like, end of study, we're done. These lean mass hyperresponders, it's bad, right? That could be a thing. That didn't happen because the heart scans kept happening because it's like somebody else that's doing the scans, like an outside, you know, lab. He thought it could be like a 75-25 or maybe 50-50, right? Or maybe it's only 25% have a too high of a CAC and 75% are fine. That's like the 4 scenarios. He goes, no, there's a 5th scenario that I never even considered. And that is that lean mass hyperresponders don't have a problem with CAC score. And he basically
you have to factor that in, as that could be a possibility.
So basically what they found, and he kind of said it without saying it, he goes, I'm not going to put the data up because I am publishing a paper on this, but not one of them had a CAC score over 10, not one of them. So that was interesting. And that was kind of like a little tease as to what's going to be coming out. Something is dropping December 8th. I don't know what it is. I'm going to have my eyes peeled for that. And then in February, they will have done the second CAC score test on all 100 people. So they did one initial one. And then a year went by, and now they're doing they're in the process of like wrapping up like the second test, because the whole point is to see if all of this LDL is making plaque buildup or not.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that there's some decent, you know, some research that's being done. Because honestly, the doctors, like your doctor who ran your lab work, isn't going to listen to anything other than, you know, what actual research shows.
Yeah.
So, wow.
If this is referring to me, I don't think that I made a video on iodine. I don't know enough about it. The
I mean,
expert,
I did a video on iodine.
yes, Lynn
Yeah.
did. The expert is, I believe her name is Dr. Bright.
Dr. Bright, Elizabeth Bright.
Elizabeth
Yeah.
Bright. So Claudia, please refer to Dr. Elizabeth Bright. I can sum up her opinion, which is that
I'll type
almost
that in the comments.
thank you. Her opinion is almost every single person is deficient in iodine because of a few factors. One being our soil is totally depleted of nutrients. The other being things like fluoride, which is in the water and in like the toothpaste that a lot of us use, will block the absorption of iodine. So, and whatever, she goes into other things, but she feels like everybody should be supplementing with a little bit of iodine. What I do, Claudia, is 2 drops of the Lugol's. Is it, what's the percentage?
Is it the 2%?
Yeah, the 2% Lugol.
That's the most common one. So that's equivalent. That's 2.5 milligrams per drop.
Okay.
Of the 2%. So you're getting 5 milligrams per day.
Okay.
Which to my knowledge is fine.
Yeah. So I just put it in my coffee. If you try to put it in water, you're going to taste it. I put it in my coffee. I have not given up coffee, but put it in something where it's going to hide the flavor because it is very strong flavor. But when I put it in my coffee, I don't notice it. So you have to find some way that makes it palatable for you to get it down. It does take time. It's going to take like 6 months before I notice a difference, if I am going to notice a difference.
That's true. I know it does take a while. I do have kind of an update from when I did my iodine video, because I know that like with my people following on my channel there, a lot of them have told me you need to make sure you're getting iodine, because I've had to restrict my diet down so much. I wasn't getting really any dietary sources. And of course I have with mast cell activation syndrome, the Lugol's, I was putting drops in my water and it was making my throat swell. And so, you know, I was having such a challenge. I actually found out that I can actually do 1 drop of Lugol's in room temperature water.
Yes.
And if I let it sit for a few minutes, I can't drink it right away, but if I let it sit for a few minutes, I can actually drink it.
Okay.
And my throat doesn't swell. So I don't know why, but I actually have been able to, ever since I discovered that the other day, I've been doing just 1 drop, but twice a day.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I was pretty excited.
Probably with the 1 drop, you might not taste it as much, you know.
Right. I don't taste it with the 1 drop.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a new discovery for me. So let's see. Let me see if we have it. I don't want to miss
any comments. They're making jokes about the iodine, which is what I'm laughing at. Sometimes I can't help it. They're cracking me up. Renee and Mike are cracking me up.
No, I know. They're going back and forth.
Because Mike said iodine dropped on the tongue challenge.
Oh my goodness. And
then Renee said, might as well put on raw liver and force it down if I'm going to gag anyway.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Seriously, you guys are hilarious. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you know, it's important. Just as I've been going down that iodine rabbit hole and learning about iodine, and I still have a lot to learn. It's like, it just amazes me that the doctors aren't suggesting, if you have any issues with your thyroid, of going on an iodine supplement.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my doctor put me on levothyroxine, and I was just having symptoms of hypothyroid, but maybe it was my mast cell activation syndrome, and we just did. Back then, mast cell activation syndrome wasn't even known about. So I don't know. Maybe I didn't even need it.
Yeah. So Twin Maples is saying, wonder how much iodine is in oysters. So to that point, Twin Maples, I do not eat seafood. I wish I liked it. I don't. Yeah. So I don't.
I can't have shellfish.
Yes, they do. There is iodine there, but I can't. Right, Mike? Mike knows. I tried a sardine. It was nasty. I couldn't do it. I gave the rest to Pixel. You could see her back there.
Were you going to try the sardine challenge?
No, I can't do it. So I went live with Aaron. We each had a can of sardines. I did. I gave it a good try. I ate 1 sardine, and then I gave the rest to my cat.
Okay.
I can't do it.
Let me see if I can find the iodine content. So it looks like it depends on where it comes from, but
Yeah.
Pacific oysters from British Columbia contain about 160 micrograms of iodine per 100 grams of edible tissue.
Okay, there you go.
So convert that if you're in the US and we still use the archaic, weird imperial system.
Right.
You can convert that to ounces. But yeah, I mean, they're one of the higher things in iodine. We have a place where you can get raw oysters down in Seattle, which is about 20 miles south of me. And we actually went and did it. And this is not recently. And I never thought I'd like it, but I actually loved it.
Yeah. No, every seafood I've tried, I've hated. I even tried salmon again on Thanksgiving because they had some like smoked salmon. And I was like, all right, I haven't eaten salmon in like 20 years. Nope.
So you're not a fish person. So what happens when you eat fish? You just don't like it, or?
It's gross. I want to spit it out.
Okay.
I don't like it.
You're welcome, Claudia. Let's see. So, and yeah, nutrition with Judy, iodoral. Yes. So iodoral is for people who cannot take the Lugol solution.
Okay.
It has potassium iodide and iodine. I think it has both. So, and it comes in different strengths.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just did the 2% because I think I've heard Nisha Berry say that's what she does in her coffee, or when she used to drink coffee. I don't know if she does anymore, but she would do the 2 drops. And I thought, well, I'm going to start there, check my numbers again. I know how to do it myself, right? My doctor left me high and dry. I'll either get a new doctor and have them check me, or I'll check it myself. And then if it hasn't improved, I'll get a new doctor. And
well, I see a naturopathic doctor, and I find that they're very much more open to, and they'll order a bunch the types of tests that a regular traditional doctor wouldn't order, which is helpful.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm hoping one of these low carb doctors is a little bit more like, because they'd be more in line with what I'm doing, and maybe they're a little more educated because they put it out there like, I'm a low carb doctor, right? So maybe that means that they know all the thyroid tests they need to do, and they know about, the different, the lean mass hyperresponder and what that might mean. And they might take a more holistic look at it and say, all your other numbers are awesome, and your triglycerides are awesome, and your HDL is awesome.
Or you could consider signing up, get on the waiting list to be a patient for Dr. Sean Baker's new company, Rivero.
Yes, Rivero Health. I wonder if they're going to be opening any or maybe it's online. I don't know, but yeah, I've heard about that. Are they taking patients at this point?
I think they have a waiting list right now, but I'm pretty sure they're really close, if not opening.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I wonder, are they going to be taking insurance? Because like I have insurance, I would like to use it. I do pay.
I'm not
happy for work.
Sure. If any of you guys know that, please let us know, because I'm not sure if they take insurance or not.
Okay.
He said I saw a little video of him today, just kind of off the cuff. I didn't watch the whole video, but I heard him say something about that they already have like 2,000 people to be patients.
Okay.
But I'll link him in the description afterwards, and if anyone's interested in checking him out, my husband told me I should check him out. See if
I might do that. And if they take insurance, I'm going to maybe go that way. I don't really, because we do now anymore, like teachers, they say we have great insurance, but we do pay a lot more for it than we used to.
Yeah.
So they take quite a good chunk out of my check every month.
So
I'd like to use that and not pay more, out of pocket to keep doing like on your labs all the time, or pay like for a naturopath if my insurance wouldn't pay for that. I'm hoping to stay within the system since I'm already having to put money there, because we can't opt out. We have to take it.
What you can get, and if you can find somebody who will take your insurance and will run those labs and have an understanding at least of the way you eat, then that's good. So excellent. So awesome. I think that we have, let me just make sure. Did you see me as missing any questions? You were going to answer this question about volleyball.
Oh, I'll answer the question about volleyball, Mike. So I played volleyball in middle school too. And I will tell you though, that we lived in a small town. I actually lived in 2 different small towns. And so it wasn't like, a very big team or hard to get on the team. Lynn is oh no, she's not. Are you frozen, Lynn? You looked frozen for a minute there.
Oh, I was probably, no, I may have been. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay. You're good. You're still alive. Okay. So I did play in middle school, and then I did play all through high school. I went to 2 different high schools, but they were both very small towns. So one of the small towns was Trona, which is like outside of Death Valley, like a couple valleys over from Death Valley. It's really out in the desert. If you know where Ridgecrest is, yeah, take a left and turn past there, and you're going out even further into nowhere. So, and then about exactly halfway through high school, we moved to a different small town called Julian, which is in San Diego County. Beautiful, like the opposite of Trona, like beautiful mountain town, snows in the winter, little cute little tourist attraction, like beautiful little town. So I went there the last 2 years, but I played volleyball all the way through. I was a setter, Mike, because I'm not super tall, but although it was a small town, you don't have a lot of, pool to draw from, right? But yeah, so I was a setter. I did have a bunch of awesome digs. I did not get to spike a lot because I was a setter. So yeah, I ran the plays and like set everything up. We had a small boys volleyball team, and I would go during their practices and set for them because they needed whatever extra help. Obviously, I didn't play because I'm not a boy, but I didn't identify as a boy, and that wasn't a thing back then. I'm just kidding. But yeah, but I would go to the boys volleyball practice, and I would set for them and help them out when they needed that. But it was fun. I loved it. I did not try in college. I got academic scholarship for college, so I did not try to do, because I had to keep a 3.75 GPA to keep my academic scholarship. So I did not try to do that and a sport. So I gave up the volleyball, but I still love it. Every year we do teachers or staff versus 5th grade volleyball game, like in late May or June, like at the end of the school year, as the 5th graders are getting ready to promote. But I coach the 5th graders and teach them how to play and all of that befto. So
nice.
Mike, volleyball. And now I get kids asking me, like one of my students was like, "Can you help me? I'm just learning. I need to work on my passing." I'm like, "Okay." So I go out at lunchtime and we take a ball out and, help her work on that and stuff.
You're a cool teacher. So what grade do you teach?
Yeah, so I teach 5th grade. Although this year I do have a 4 or 5 combo. So I do have 9 4th graders in my classroom. And then the rest 5th graders, I have 28 students.
Wow.
So it's happy,
fun age.
Oh yeah, it's they pack them full here like sardines in California. That was a joke. But no, we're packed full. I think one year I had 32, and I thought if you give me 33, I'm gonna have to hang them from the ceiling. Like there's no room in here for them. But I love it. It's kind of my niche for sure. Anymore, I could not go and teach like kindergarten or 1st grade. I don't have the patience for the short attention spans and the helping tying shoes, and that's not my thing. I really enjoy how the 5th graders, they've gotten so much more academic. They're no longer learning to read, they're reading to learn, and so they just take off and get really curious about stuff. And plus they need, I don't bring my work home like a lot of teachers do, but when they're in 5th grade, they need a good hour to work on a project, and then I will grade papers or conference with kids during that time. So that's kind of how I do it. But I love it. Oh my gosh, it's great. Mike has learned about some of the lessons I've done with my students. It's a good time.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I swear we could talk for a long time. But I'm just so happy that you shared your story, because it's definitely different. It's not, it's not about being morbidly obese. It's having all these unhealthy ups and downs, and then, breaking free of those cravings.
Yeah. I don't have any cravings anymore. And just as an experiment, I will say, just as an experiment, I've had 1 handful of pecans to see what would happen. I had 1 handful. I did not think about them again. I did not go back for a second handful. The jar of pecans, which was almost still full before I just kind of gave them up, was sitting in there. I did not think about them. I took them with me to Thanksgiving because I made like a charcuterie, and I thought maybe the other people, because I haven't been eating them, they are expensive. And then I left them there with my mom because she'll still eat that kind of stuff. But it was like it was not. So I think that I really do have a little bit of food freedom. Like I said, I had the avocado and the pickle, and I didn't want more of it, and I didn't start craving other more sugary things. Today, 1 meal, I'm good with it. Sometimes I eat 2, but I just eat if I'm hungry. And then I don't think about food again. And I used to think about food all day.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was an obsession. So
For
now
sure.
so now it's really freedom is yours now.
Yeah. Yeah. My mind is free to do other stuff that I want to be doing, right? For my students, for my own family, for my channel now, you know.
I'm going to show your channel again.
Oh, I started my channel because, like what you're saying, Lynn, I'm not the person with the 100-pound weight loss where you could see my before and after and be like, wow, like if I don't talk about it and show what I do, like there would be no way for anybody to know. Because looking at me from the outside, everybody would have thought that I was healthy because I was thin. Thin is healthy, right?
Right.
Not true. I was so unhealthy.
It just goes to show that you cannot judge somebody just by how they look. It has nothing to do with how they feel.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, you got a very colorful channel. Look at this, brain fog be gone. Awesome. And you said you accidentally went carnivore.
I did. It was an accident.
Awesome. Your kitty your kitty is eating carnivore.
She is, and she's doing awesome. You will see her in quite a few videos because she has energy now. So she gets it up in my business, whatever I'm doing. I'm surprised she hasn't been in here right now. She usually jumps up at least once.
Yeah.
And checks it out.
Pixel, the carnivore cat.
She lost a pound and she started playing again and like being awake sometimes. You know, she sleeps a lot like most cats, but she'll play. She'll, get involved with what I'm doing. She never used to do any of that, you know.
Awesome.
So yeah,
awesome.
She looks forward to her food now. She gets all excited, you know. So
awesome. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to let you go enjoy your evening and your family on this Monday. And thank you so much for coming. And I appreciate everybody who's here chatting it up and enjoying everything. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we leave?
Just wanted to add, I know you saw my finger. Lioness Lifestyle tomorrow, we have a new host with us.
Oh, you do?
So come find out about that.
Is this going to be like a permanent host or is it a guest host?
Nope, it's a permanent host.
Awesome.
That's all I'm going to say. But if you go look at the thumbnail, you can probably figure it out. It's not that much.
So make sure everyone knows that on Tuesday nights, you interview a carnivore woman, a lady, for Lioness Lifestyle Live, and show a woman's perspective on the carnivore diet and how it's impacting her health.
Absolutely.
So everybody join in. Let's see. Hang on. Rivero.
Telehealth. Okay.
Telehealth. Could not find anything about insurance. Seems to be unlikely from what I could gather from the website. Looks like an amazing program, and there's a contact button. Okay, thank you for that information.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, very good.
Now, Robin, I'm going to go catch the replay of your felines. She said she was talking about food freedom on felines, and I missed that. But yes.
Awesome. Yes, that means so much. Oh, and Ellie's back to say, yes, Lioness Lifestyle is a fun show. Can't wait to see you there. Excellent. Yep. So that is tomorrow evening.
Yep.
And if you have not subscribed to Cristie's channel, it is Meeting Wellness. You can find her there. You can find me on Midlife Carnivore if you're viewing from Cristie's channel. So subscribe and support the carnivore community.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.